Hey guys, it's Mike from Just Car People Things, tuning in today doing a little bit more work on our 2004 very dirty Toyota Tundra. And we are swapping the rear differential fluid on this. I have no idea the last time the rear diff fluid was done. The plugs were very rusty. I was almost tempted to use this to remove the two 24 millimeter plugs that are on the rear diff, but I decided against it. First thing you're always going to want to do when you're doing work, usually with your differentials, is to park the vehicle on a level surface. In this case, we've got our super handy lift, our 4-post lift, and this is great for this kind of work. You'll need a 24 millimeter socket. These are usually 1/2 inch given their size. A decent sized breaker bar. You should probably also have a torque wrench for when you put these back on. I'll grab mine out of the tool bin. And I've got a full gallon of fluid to put back in this. This takes, or 4 quarts, this takes almost a full gallon of fluid to refill. So we took a little bit of time, went through and popped the drain plug and the fill plug loose. This is a pretty standard setup for this. So the way that it works is that the drain plug down here on the bottom, fill plug right here, you refill this with fluid once it gets up to the top here. Once it's drained out, then you're good to go. That's it. You put the plugs back in. You'll want to check the condition of crush washers too, if you've got crush washers on there, and kind of go from there. But you can see this has got a lot of surface rust on it. It's very, very common here in the Northeast and Midwest and anywhere else they use salt. But we got our handy drain pan here, and we're going to get to draining this. I'm also going to grab a light because it is a little bit dark under here right now, so you guys can see a little bit better. We'll be right back with you. Okay guys, we are back underway here. We've got, this is our replacement fluid here, and we're now ready to drain. So one thing I'll always mention if you're ever doing work like this, always take the fill plug off first. If you can't get the drain plug, or can get the drain plug off, and can't get the fill plug off after you drain it, you're going to the shop on a flatbed to figure out how to fix this. So always make sure you can pop your drain, or your fill first, fill first, and then drain second. So we're going to see how this guy looks. It's been sitting outside, so it's not super warm, but what I like to do sometimes, keep in mind, oh yeah, that stuff is dirty. Look at that. This has not been changed in a long time. You can see how nasty that looks, almost like a chocolate milk. So what do we got? Nothing super scary on the diff drain plug, but definitely a little sludgy on the tip of that. So this fluid is spent. It smells not great. I don't even know if it was really fully full, but yeah, that's some pretty nasty stuff. I need to grab a rag. I just realized I didn't grab a rag, so it's all right. So a quick tour underneath our slightly crusty 2004 Toyota Tundra. Grease rag, something I should have grabbed from the get-go. I already had to do one repair on this. I had a small leak in the gas tank, so I actually had to drop the gas tank and fix that. While you're underneath here too, it's also a really good time to grease some of your fittings, like your U-joints here, and also your slip yoke. This particular thing, if you ever come to a stop in an older Toyota vehicle and it feels like somebody tapped your front bumper when you come away from that stop, that is actually this joint right here needing to be just filled with grease. And you can see it leaks out over time, but this is what allows the compressibility between your rear axle, which isn't always fixed with the suspension, and then the actual drive shaft itself. So that grease in there cushions it, and sometimes it can get kind of bound a little bit. So let's see what we got here on the, oh yeah, this is a lot of, God, it's amazing. We've got a few little chunks of some metal in there. It's not great, but could be worse. I've seen these come apart in the way that, when I say they come apart, I mean they literally explode. So this still had a crush washer on it too. You can see I did grab some replacement crush washers, but that guy looks not too bad. So, all right, we're getting close to drained out here. And I'm gonna spare you guys the 30 minutes of me pumping this 1 ounce or 2 at a time back into this, but you can see we're almost fully drained here. And as we get more towards the middle of the fluid, it is looking a little bit better, but I doubt this has been done in at least 30 or 40,000 miles, maybe longer, which is just really kind of a bummer. So the drain plugs are actually magnetic. And you can see, getting the light here a little better, there's a magnet in there that's designed to catch kind of the debris that comes from all those gears spinning around together. And what you want to do is just make sure that's really as clean as you can get it when you put it back together, because this is part of the protection system. It doesn't have a filter in there, but the way that it protects itself is it sort of magnetizes the little bits of, you know, gear and diff that come out over time. You can see there's little pieces of metal in there. This is obviously a throwaway grease rag, but cool. Well, we'll let this continue draining out for a few more minutes, and then we'll come back with you guys to do a little bit of a fill and show you how that all works. So one thing I like to do, and I've got a spare 7590 here, is to actually go in before you finish draining and just put a little squirt of fresh fluid in there, and just you can almost see the extra junk that just shot out of there. And it only costs you, an ounce or two of fluid, but that helps just kind of flush it a little bit. I think that's a really helpful thing to do. You can also drive the vehicle for 10 or 15 minutes to get everything really stirred up in there, and this will be a little bit warmer to the touch, but you can see now that fluid, you're looking at it through the light, it's actually pretty much clear. So that's a sign that you're getting close to good. Sometimes I'll even take the finger up in there and just sort of see how that looks. Ooh, that is still pretty gross. So I think what we're going to do here is we're going to put this back together and just plan on kind of short running this fluid. We'll probably run this. You can get these generic 7590 jugs for about $30. So I'll probably only run this for about 15,000 or so miles, if that, 10,000 miles, because it just clearly hasn't been done in a long time. And I'm really seeing that junk start to move. I should have honestly driven the car before I went out and went around, but that's all right. It'll work for our current purposes. And let's throw the plug back in, and we'll be drain plug back in, and we'll be probably good to go relatively quickly. So we'll go from there. All right, folks, we are back here just rounding third base on our refill of our differential. Ended up filling my Mobil 1 gear oil container multiple times because it was easier just to slot that into I have enough head space here with the spare tire to get that at an angle without having to resort to the dreaded pump, which these things are very annoying to use. So I've got everything kind of just hand tight, including the fill. And at this point, you can see the fluid was dripping out of the actual transfer case, which is good. That's what you want. You want to just fill it till basically it overflows, and then you just that back in. I have our torque wrench here set to 36 foot-pounds, which is the factory spec for this, for tight. And so we're just going to come through, crush washers on there, and there we go, nice and tight. That's exactly what spec is for that. We're going to come back through here. Same thing here, just make sure this is good. Get good engagement on that. You just want to hear it click, just real solid. So that's it. That's the project. We're pretty much done here. We're going to do a little bit more cleaning up. Just obviously want to wipe everything down. This is all coated in fluid film, so it's going to look like it's a little oily wet regardless. But that being said, we'll get cleaned up. We'll get the mess we made away. I've thrown this carpet down because I'm doing projects like this, and it's just easier to pick this cardboard up and throw it away. But that said, that is a quick 101 24mm socket, breaker bar, torque wrench, and that's pretty much it. As long as you can get on the vehicle, you could actually do this with the truck on the ground. You could easily, without a lift, get underneath here and be able to do this type of work. It should not be an issue. There's enough clearance here. A shop will typically charge you anywhere from, I don't know, $59.99 up to like $149.99 to do this project. I just did it for $31. So there's a little tip for you. This is pretty easy to do. You need a basic set of hand tools and some gear oil. This is the limited slip that was in the Mobil 1 that I had left from another project, but this is not the limited slip rear differential on this particular Tundra, I don't think. So we should be good to go, but I'll let you guys know if something goes crazy. But that's the project. That's how it works to change your differential fluid. Usually most manufacturers call for it every 15 to 30,000 miles, depending on your application. Sometimes even sooner, especially if you've got a break-in period on a new vehicle. So feel free to like, subscribe, comment. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Quick DIY, and we'll keep sharing these Tundra projects. We've got a few other things left to do on the truck as we go forward. Cheers.